we'll just have to see what happens.
I would say for the best and see how we go.
Yeah, you want to do your intro?
Right.
You want to do your typical intro like, it's your boy, it's your G, it's the JOHN Preston, and get all excited about it all. We can edit all that out.
You know that's going to start a video now, don't you? All right. Welcome to the ETI podcast, episode 3. Kind of a bit of different setup due to this current status of the world. But yeah, we thought we'd give this a shot on the old Zoom call, seeing as we can't get to each other at the moment. Pretty much while everyone's been doing their thing in fucking isolation or whatever you want to call it.
Quarantine.
Been seeing a lot of things popping up, you know, like top 10 albums of fucking my life, or top 10 albums that have inspired me, top 10 albums, whatever.
Songs.
So we figured we'd do sort of the same. And we figured rather than doing top 10, we'd cut it down to top 5 because, let's be honest, who wants to watch us two mugs fucking talk shit about music that probably don't listen to anyway.
That's true.
But yeah, so start us off, mate.
All right, so after the first episode, I suppose everyone knows I don't have a deep musical background in terms of bands that got me started. So the number one album for me would definitely be Slipknot. And the first song I actually, besides the intro that I heard from those guys, was Sick. So while everyone was hung up on Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out like the singles, that first few minutes of the album is sort of the go-to for me. I can hit play on that album, just listen to it from start to finish. So that first song, Sick, was like brand new to me because everything was pop and Nirvana at the time. And I get why Nirvana's so big, but I'm not a big Nirvana fan. So for me, that was like a massive thing. Yeah. That's really about it. And then moving forward would definitely be Static X. Another debut album one for me. But probably the song that I like the most would be I Am. Just a good, short, sharp, aggressive song. Gets you going. It's good. A few others are honourable mentions, but for me, that's probably the go-to song that I'd always play the most, probably. That's pretty good. And then Cradle of Filth. And not what everyone would expect. Probably the album everyone expects, Midian, but not the song. Probably Cthulhu Dawn, one of the first tracks on the album. After listening to and viewing their film clips, after I got that album, that was like the best song on the album for me. Just like right into it, it's such a good song. And then Marilyn Manson. I'm a late Manson fan. Still one of my album. Hey?
A late bloomer.
A late bloomer for everything. The Manson album is obviously Antichrist. That's probably his biggest album. But I don't have a song in particular. I'd say that entire album. I don't, like with Slipknot, I can just go, Sick. With Static X, I can go I Am and Cthulhu Dawn. But with that album, I actually want to listen to it from front to back, the whole thing. So for me, it's just the entire album flows, and it's just a good, like the entire album is almost an entire song to me. So that's why I haven't been able to really pick a song. And he's definitely changed over the years. So I'll always be going back to that album. And then last but not least would be Mudvayne. And while everyone was on the Dig train, I was an Eternal Primate. So I think that's one of their best songs that they've ever done. If you really get into the lyrics, it's all about just junkies and fucked up shit. So I think that song for me actually holds more meaning in turn of, if you really peel back everyone, we're all kind of the same, but we all have some sort of itch we need to scratch, for me. So that's sort of what I take away from it. Like the message would be like, you could be a CEO of a company, but at the end of the day, you take all that crap away from you and you're still a human being and you've still got some sort of issue, or you've got some sort of problem, or you've got some sort of random thing you need to deal with. So for me, that's just a massive song. I actually wasn't a fan of their first album, that LD50, but that Internal Primates, like the first half of it's good, but Internal Primates sticks out the most. So it's my top 5 and top 5 songs, I suppose.
Sweet. All right, so for me, I thought I'd pretty much see it more as a top 5 because, like I said, we were going to do a top 10. So I had to break it down to top 5, and I figured I may as well do it in the way of pretty much what influenced me in the musical journey. We touched a bit on most of these fucking albums and bands when we had our first chat in episode 1. But I figured for me, number 1 was Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. This is around the time when I was listening to AC/DC and all sorts of things like that before I realised that there was heavier things out there. But for me, I can't pick one actual track off it. There's 3 in a row that sort of, you listen to them in that order and it all comes down. It seems like one big song, a bit like you would see on, you know, like there's ZZ Top, Tres Hombres. They have the same sort of thing where they're waiting for the bus that kicks straight into Jesus Just Left Chicago. And if you didn't know the songs, you'd think it was one big song. It's the same with this. So it'd be Years Ago, Stephen, and then The Awakening. Listen to them in that order. You'll think I'm fucking nut job and there's something fucking loose, which there probably is. It's a real creepy carnival type vibe, but it tells a story. It flows through like one big song. So, like I said, that's got to be it for me. Number 2 would be Black Sabbath's album Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and the song Sabracadabra. I don't know if you remember, but we used to play the Metallica cover of Sabracadabra, which mixed the song Sabracadabra obviously in with a National Acrobat cut in the middle, and then it went back to Sabracadabra. But that song for me, I don't know, it's just something I can always go back to that song, and it's just a fucking good song. 3rd will be Metallica, Ride the Lightning. Like I said, we previously mentioned this in episode 1. But it was hard to pick between Fade to Black and Creeping Death for me as favourite song on the album. Fade to Black, you know, it's fucking real slow, I suppose you could call it. And then about the 4-minute mark, it just kicks into some heavier shit. I've always loved that song since the first time I heard it. But then the other song would be Creeping Death, probably because it was the first Metallica song I ever attempted to learn on guitar. So yeah, I suppose in that sense, it's one of my favourites. And then pretty much Slipknot, like you mentioned, self-titled. Funny enough, the same song, Sick. I was tossed up between that and Spit It Out, because Spit It Out was the first song I ever heard off that album. And I had listened back through the album today, you know, in pre-planning for all this. And I already had my mind set it was going to be Spit It Out. But then after listening to the album, I was like, fucking sick. It's got to be sick. Then number 5 would be Behemoth, the Satanist. I delved into a bit of, you know, black metal or death and black metal, whatever, when I was younger, with stuff like Cradle Filth and Demir Gear and shit like that. I even touched a bit on like Dark Funeral. Even attempted Mayhem at one stage, but that was way too black metal for me back in my earlier days. But one day I was just doing some work around the house, had a YouTube mix on, and the song "Oh Father, Oh Satan, Oh Son" came on. And it was the only one that actually made me stop and go, what the fuck was that? Got to listen to that again. Listen to it again, loved it, found out what album it was off, put on the full album, and I've been a fucking fan ever since. And so, yeah, that's pretty much my roundup of our top 5.
That song Sick is on there. It should just be number 1. It's just one of those songs that you listen to it. Like, for me, I didn't have, like you were saying, Metallica, Ride the Lightning was like the first. Was it the first album you'd heard, or first Metallica you'd heard? Or was it just the first song you tried?
It wasn't the first Metallica. It was the first Metallica album I actually went and bought for myself.
Oh, okay. What was the first Metallica you heard?
Black Album.
Yeah, so that was my first introduction to who I kind of knew about Metallica, but I didn't know much about them. So when I was in high school, year 7, trying to learn drums, and everyone was playing Nirvana, that album was huge as well. Just I think because it was so much more mainstream than their earlier stuff, people who were just learning could easily pick up how to play the songs. And
Yep.
so that was I was over Metallica after hearing that album, because to me it's like, oh, this is just like it's a hard rock band. And then when I found out about
You referred to them as that was their Nickelback album on episode 1?
yeah.
Something along those lines?
But when I found out they had more of a back catalogue, it was a bit more interesting. I was still not a huge fan, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually don't even think I've ever listened to anything of their back album or their back catalogue all the way through. I've heard tracks here and there, but I've never actually sat down and listened to And Justice for All, Ride the Lightning or anything like that. Yeah, just never did.
Their first 4 albums were great.
Yeah.
I mean, Kill 'Em All was good, but I still prefer Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
Master of Puppets was an awesome album. Everyone reckons it's the best album ever. You know my opinions on that. And then Justice for All was a good album, even with the lack of bass. You know, like, who gives a fuck that the bass isn't there? Well, apart from poor Jason Newsted. But,
yeah.
You know, like, it was still a good fucking album, bass or no bass. But, yeah, you should have a listen, mate. Maybe we should do that one day. You give me an album, I'll give you an album. We'll sit down and we'll
see what happens.
Fucking see what we think about it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, my internet connection just. You're good on your side for internet?
I'm all good, mate.
I just got a little notification.
You're still there, swaying back and forth like you're in fucking Granddad's rocking chair.
Yeah, it's just the old computer chair doing what it does. Yeah, I almost put Korn on that list as well, but then I was like,
Yeah.
I like their first 3 albums. I thought they were good, but there's no really one song in particular. And if I actually think of why I listen to Korn, it's just the drummer. That's the majority. I don't even really listen to them anymore at all. So unless I was going to learn their songs, that's probably the only time I'd be listening to Korn. But I almost put them on. I thought, oh, fucking Korn. But like, I was really only influenced by the drummer. I didn't really care much.
Yep.
Too much about what else was happening. So, but yeah, is there any
Yeah, I mean,
anything you were going to put on that you took off?
Yeah, 5 bands.
No, well, yeah,
because like I said, we can always do a part 2, Pat.
You got like a top 10, and we narrowed it to 5. Is in the top 10, I wasn't really fussed on order, but with that top 5, I'd actually pick and choose a bit. So
yeah, well, pretty much on my other ones, I had Watain, Dissection, Trivium, and Pantera were the other ones that I was going to touch on. And what was the other one? I think the other one I left blank because it was a toss-up between a few bands. I couldn't decide which would be my number 10. But yeah, pretty much. I suppose you call them honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions. Yeah, fair enough. You weren't. I thought you would have put Debut down for sure, but then when you said Behemoth, I'm like, oh, okay, more of a a proper.
I almost did. That was one that was on the list of contending for that top 10, but I just figured, you know, do it in the format of what influenced me, sort of, because they're big jumps, you know. Like, obviously, like I said in episode 1, we touched on it all about my progression through music, so I figured this is a good way to sort of lay that out as well.
Yeah, I think the only reason I thought Demure would go because you used to listen to them a fair bit back in the day. Or that one album.
At one stage, I don't think their CD left my car for about 6 months.
Yeah, which album was that?
Puritanical fucking somethings.
Yeah, I fucking hated playing that.
No, that was the song itself, Puritania.
Yeah. That song.
There's some good fucking albums, good songs on that album too. And like I said, that was one, like, when I was trying to work out that number 10th album.
Yeah.
It was that. Yeah, there was a few different bands in there that I couldn't fully decide on.
Yeah.
But fuck, mate, it's hard when you can only pick 5. You know,
whittling
it down to 5. And
well, for me, it was actually fairly easy because as we know, I got into music late compared to you. Like, I didn't have any influence growing up. I had to discover it all by myself not late teens, but sort of mid-teens, I guess. So it was only whatever I bought at the store, and Sanity weren't really selling a copious amount of Metallica and Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden back in the day. It was all the new shit, so that's what I got stuck with. So.
I was very surprised expecting some Ice Cube to pop up on your list there, mate.
Well, he would have in the top 11, but I enjoy his music, but I don't take inspiration from it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Musically, I don't take inspiration from it. I think if you listen to his music enough, you could take a pretty good message away from his music if you really dig into it, because there's a lot going on. But I wouldn't say it's influential on me playing the drums or if I ever write music or anything like
that. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, in that sense as well.
The one Demu album I do really like is that, probably not going to say it right, in Sorte Diaboli or whatever it was. Songs are like the Serpentine Offering, all that sort of stuff. That was just a good album. That shit flowed from cover to cover, but a lot of their other stuff I just can't do. I can't remember what their album was before that. That had Progenies of the Great Apocalypse. That's a really good song, but then the rest of
Death Note Armageddon, wasn't it?
Ah, yes, that's it. I just couldn't get into the whole album. And the video clip that looked hell bad, looked worse than Hugh Jackman's face.
But back in the day, that was probably a very good fucking, top of line graphics type shit back then, mate.
Even back then, I thought it looked dodgy. It came on the head or some shit. I'm like, that's some dodgy looking stuff. Like, this band mustn't be doing too well. But then they released that next album, and Sorte Diaboli, and that was fucking awesome. That was killer. I listened to a couple of albums after that. I can't remember the names of them, just tracks here and there. It wasn't too bad, but wasn't enough to sort of pique my attention to continue buying or listening to all the other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you have seen them if they were in Australia? If they were in Australia, would you have seen them if they came to Perth?
Oh, fuck yeah. We talked about even flying over to fucking over East to see them. I was hoping they would have come to Perth. I would have been there, mate.
Can't remember that conversation.
Yeah, there was you should watch episode 1.
Probably.
But yeah.
I would have gone and seen them.
I definitely know.
What about shit like Powerman 5000? You're not really into that?
See, I've never got into that. I mean, I loved the early Rob Zombie stuff.
Yeah.
But
he was
other good old Powerman. I never got into him.
Rob Zombie was almost there. Because late one night watching the Channel V heavy metal show, they had Dragula. His funny little thing of him bopping around in the Dragula mobile. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Car from the Munsters.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know if you used to watch that show. I used to watch it as a kid.
Yeah, I've seen
yeah, that was the car, Grandpa's car from the Munsters.
Yeah. So I remember that video clip. And then I think I bought the album, and then I bought his second album, Sinister Urge, and I was like, like it's a good album, but it's like, It's not the same as his Hellbilly Deluxe. It sort of lost a bit of edge. It went a bit more mainstream, I think.
Well, if I listen to any Zombie at all, it's always the one album I always come back to is Hellbilly Deluxe.
Yeah, that first one. I mean, if you release an album and you've got a WWE wrestler who wants to make your song his entrance music, you're fucked up.
Who was that? Edge.
Yeah, he used to come out to fucking something.
Never gonna stop me, never gonna stop.
Yeah. His anthem album. That was a bit weird, that album. I don't know. I can't listen to it all. I have to listen to like track, then I'll skip a few, and then I might go back or something. It's just one of those situations. Yeah. Anything like that? Have you got any albums that you can't listen to?
Static X, fucking Cult of Static.
Yeah, it's I can't even listen.
I can't do it. I just I love everything else Static X put out, but just Cannibal? That. Cannibal. Well, we've talked about this off camera, but Cannibal would be like my number 5 Static X album.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
I think we agreed on that.
The first 5 albums are good. Fuck off Cult of Static, and you got a good catalogue right there.
Yeah. I didn't mind it. It wasn't so. It's more like digital sounds, I think, in there.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that Cold Static was a bloody. I don't know what they were doing. I think they just did it because they had to fulfill their bloody record contract. Similar to Strapping Young Lad, like I don't know if it's true, but I read somewhere. I won't say what website years ago. Old mate Devin Townsend just like pushed the albums out because he couldn't wait to get away from that bad record deal they signed, and he was obligated to do X amount of records. So they just like flushed them out so they could fulfill their agreement and then go their separate ways, which is bad because that ultimately probably took a toll on the band.
You just mentioned Devon. I kind of expected a bit of Strapping Young Lad to possibly pop up if we're doing a top 10 for you.
I didn't get into Strapping Young Lad till years after I was into everything that I mentioned. Was like, if you look at all those albums, like Slipknot's debut album, Static X debut album, Midian, Mudvayne's debut album, the only album that's like had been around for a while was Antichrist Superstar from Manson. But all those other albums was like, they came out just as I was getting into music. So Strapping may have already been around for a while, but they weren't massive in Australia. Well, that I know of. Like, no one at school was talking about them. I didn't see a whole bunch of their gear anywhere. Like, you could go to a CD shop and see Marilyn Manson shirts, his CDs, his DVDs, and so on. Same with Slipknot and Mudvayne. You can see all their stuff, their promotional gear. But our mutual mate, who passed on some Static X to you, mentioned Strapping Young Lad years after. I think it was your 21st.
Yeah, because I remember that I'd heard of him through, obviously, the film Click for Love. And I would have seen that on, I don't know if it was Headbangers Ball or Heavy Shift, one of the two. And it was quite cool because you know the whole Evil Dead theme with the film. And then I think it was when we were playing in one of our various fucking 27 million bands that you were like, have you heard Strapping Young Lad? You know, this drummer's fucking sick. You got to check it out. So pretty much that's when I started listening to some more of it, but I never fully jumped on the Strapping Young Lad fucking side. But yeah, he has some good songs, and he's a very talented fucking dude with everything he does. I don't know how he pushes out so much fucking music personally.
No,
but,
he's done more, I think, solo and side project than he has done with a full band under a name like Strapping Young Lad. You know, he was already doing his solo stuff with Strapping Young Lad anyway.
I'm pretty sure he's been just written a new fucking album during this quarantine shit.
I wouldn't surprise me. He's been doing his live. Have you seen his live shows, like Zen Path and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I've seen him on YouTube and that. Yeah. I saw him actually. I don't know if it was Big Day Out or Soundwave. As I was crossing from whoever I was watching at one stage over to the other stage, stopped for a minute to watch him, and he had that fucking sock puppet or whatever it is up on stage talking away like on the big screen monitor and shit. And I was just like, the fuck is this shit? You know, like Ziltoid or whatever he's called.
Yeah, Ziltoid. Have you listened to that album?
Yeah, I've heard it. And yeah, so I fucking stuck around for about 2 minutes, and then I was like, yeah, catch ya. And just kept strolling on to whatever band I was going to see at whatever stage next.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish that I had stopped and watched him, because from the YouTube videos I've seen of him doing his live stuff, it's fucking quite entertaining.
It'd be good. I don't know if he's planning on coming through Oz with his last album release tour. If he does, I'd be keen to go. If he comes to Perth.
I'll be keen to go.
If he comes.
Yeah, fucking let me know if you see it and we'll go.
Yeah.
As long as, you know, obviously all this shit's fucking died down and people are out in the country again and whatnot.
Yeah. That might be a while. But then it's going to be even longer before he's allowed to leave America or Canada, because they copped it more over there. So we'll be fully open before anyone else. I think we won't be too bad. But that Ziltoid album, that's a fucking masterpiece. Do you know what it's about?
It's about an alien trying to take over the world with his fucking bum chums or whatever it is, eh? The little poo bars or whatever he calls them.
No, he came down to Earth looking for the ultimate cup of coffee. He gets served a cup of coffee that is not the ultimate cup of coffee. And then he's like, I'm going to destroy Earth. So that's the entire thing. It's a whole storyline about him. But at the end of the album, there's like a little like outro, and it's just this dude who works in a coffee shop. That was his dream on shift. He like fell asleep on his lunch break, and that whole entire album was just a dream.
It makes you wonder, is that just his wild imagination? Like, or does he need drugs to come up with that shit? Because I don't think he's really a drug addict, is he?
No, I don't think so. But if you watch that 6 Samus when he flew to the UK to record drums for him, those two like seemed very similar. Like they were just like energetic and fucking around and partying all the time and scaring the shit out of each other and stuff. So if you got someone like that creating music with almost, no, I wouldn't say unlimited resources, but more resources than what the average Joe has, then you're going to get some pretty crazy shit.
Well, I don't know if it was on like an interview with him or just maybe I was watching one of his video logs or whatever he's doing, making one of his other albums. But Devin was pretty much saying that he doesn't make any money back. He puts so much money into making all this shit, more money than he really should or more money than he has. And the poor bastard doesn't see anything back out of it. Yeah. It's just pretty much, he's doing it for the love of doing it and everything else, and it's costing him money to do it, but he doesn't give a fuck because he needs to do it for his sanity.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you look at pop artists with their big, elaborate stage shows and their huge settings and everything, and they sell an arena out for big money. But the problem is, you get people like Devin Townsend or bands that have big stage shows and big props and everything on the stage. Like, that costs money to move around the world. And unless they're selling an arena out for the same price, they're not. Like Metallica would make their money back, for example, but not too many other bands would. Last I saw, Devin's stage show was fairly elaborate. It wasn't small, so I can see that just costing an arm and a leg to not only ship from area to area and country to country and continent to continent, but just the staff involved, like the paycheck for the staff would be huge. That's insane. So if he says he's not making a lot of money, he's probably not, because you take out all your overheads. What do you want?
Well, you look at other people like stage shows like Rob Zombie. That's a full-on setup for his stage show. Or a band like Rammstein. Imagine the cost in putting on a show for fucking Rammstein.
That's why they do one concert every 10 years and release it as a DVD also. so they get that money back.
Make all their money back to buy more fucking dildos.
Oh, speaking of Rammstein, while we're on the topic, did you listen to their new album? The latest one last year when it came out?
Yeah, one to listen through.
Yeah, I didn't even get that.
I haven't been back since that one listen. Like, I should really go back and listen to it again. But after hearing it the first time, I was just like, fuck is that?
Yeah, I went down to JB's, bought the album. I didn't even want to, because it wasn't even on stream. They weren't even on streaming services at the time. I don't even know if they are now. So I bought the CD, popped it in the car while driving somewhere, and I got a few tracks in, and the missus was like, "The fuck's this? Like, is that right?" But I'd be like, "Ben, you're like a few songs in," and she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Fuck it." 2 or 3 songs in, maybe. I just took it out, put it in the case, chucked it in the glove box, and it's still there. It's been there since the day of release. And another mate who's probably the biggest Rammstein fan that I know, he was talking it up. "Oh, the new album's coming out." I'm like, "Yeah, I got it." So what do you think of it? We were training at the gym, and I said, "What do you think of it?" He goes, "Yeah, it's all right." And I just kind of felt like he was trying to convince himself that it was an okay album. And then, like, a couple of weeks later, we were training. I said, "Oh, you still listen to Rammstein's now?" He goes, "No." Nah. He's like, "No, I'll just go back to the other stuff." He said something else, but I won't go there. But yeah, he sort of gave up on him a bit. But that's probably the one band, if they come to Australia and they don't come to Perth, I would be trying to do what I can to get to Melbourne, because I'll definitely go to Melbourne to try and see. I think there'd be fucking heaps of people buying tickets from WA to go to Melbourne to see them.
Oh, we'd have to pretty much book it all as soon as it fucking releases. We'd have to get on and book it and book your hotels and flights and everything that same fucking day. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no chance of getting over there unless you make a road trip, because everyone will be booked out going on that show.
Yeah, 2 days over. If you. Yeah. But yeah, that last album was pretty horrendous. I don't know. Not as bad.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say it's as bad as All Hope Is Gone, but it was pretty bad. That's throw that one in there.
Oh, mate, should we wrap it up there then?
Yeah, can do. We've been through everything we need.
Yeah.
To. Top 5.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose here's something we haven't really said before in all this, but if you like what you're saying, you're going to love this, mate. Hit the thumbs up. Do the like, all that shit. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever's going. Can if you want, honestly. If you want to subscribe, if you don't mind fucking putting up with us talking shit for half hour, subscribe. Follow the podcast wherever that might be online in the listening world without the fucking computer screen. And yeah, go from there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Follow us on Facebook. Social medias is everything to us.
Yeah, we got a Facebook page. I'll link it all in the description underneath the YouTube video, and I'll have to work out with you where exactly you're putting the audio for the podcast bit, and then we can link that into and put that on our Facebook page so people can find it if they want to listen on the go.
Easy as.
Whatever it may be. Stay safe. Catch ya.
Gotcha.